John Haydu. Oh, great. I said that.
Not sure. Probably didn't catch it.
Hey, and watch the show.
Exactly. So, yeah, just an invite out there to an old college roommate of ours. And welcome to Over 50 Starting Over. I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison.
And we talk about things that help improve our lives over 50, hopefully our careers. We get into some metaphysics and current events, politics, and all that. Merle, what's going on? What's new in your week?
What's new in my week? Well, doing the I'm doing some new consulting things here this week. I'm working with a company, and here's the cool thing is that it's a big lesson is never burn bridges. That's it's such a small world out there. You just never know when you're going to end up back with somebody. So you don't want to speak poorly about anybody, or in my case, we talked about not getting the job that you really want. And hey, it was disappointing, but I ended up getting a consulting gig out of it, which is pretty cool. And
it's more
going to be doing that this week.
It's more cool than you think. It may possibly change your life.
It may possibly change. I'm changing as we speak. Check it out. Pretty cool.
Do you have any idea like what kind of length of contract or anything?
Nah, it's just a one-day thing, but still, hey, it's pretty lucrative for a one-day thing. So cool. I'm also looking at working as an independent contractor for a couple of different companies here, just doing some work on the side. And hey, you know what? There's all kinds of opportunities out there. So we'll see where this kind of thing takes me. We'll
Especially now.
I've got a lot of other irons in the fire as well. So
cool. Hey, I think, Merle, what we should do is put together like a one-page web page for you and come up with packages that you can offer.
I like that. That sounds pretty. That sounds pretty logical. I like what you're saying right now.
That's it. The world is changing more and more like that, to say the least. Today, this week, I launched a new training website called juicywork.com, and that is with Sandy Mobley, who helps train people to find their careers of passion. Her and her team. She has quite a team. It's coaching, and she teaches both coaches how to coach people and individuals how to find, as she calls it, their juicy work. And Nancy Valent is the head of the marketing efforts, and she brought me in to create the website and the training, putting the training classes online. So these are things that it's not too dissimilar to what you're talking about as well. Also, I just wanted to plug that today I just published a new article on how I present. I answered a question on Quora that didn't have to do with politics. I am on there more for marketing and design purposes, actually. Someone asked how I present logo concepts to clients, and I answered that because I said that I do it virtually almost all the time these days. And I replied, I started out with talking about how I present them in reverse order of how I receive them. And what I mean by that is when I talk to a client for the first time, that perhaps after I've been commissioned to do it, I try to drag out of them the three main things that they want their logo to communicate, that they want their company represented about. And I learned this, as I explained in there, through a philosophy class called Principles of Argument back in college. And it was about, it teaches you how it's a way to debate, and this kind of stuff is. So if you get, say, 3 to 4 different premises out of somebody, like, well, if this is true, and this is true, and this is true, then you can reach a conclusion. If I solve all 3 of your premises, I reach an irrefutable conclusion. So that's how I onboard all of my clients, but this presented the case for logos for sure. So if you want your logo to represent you as technologically advanced, state of the art, very professional and quality oriented and very connected amongst your clientele in the nation, then, and if I solve all of those and can keep it aesthetically pleasing, then you're going to sell. That's how you sell your logo. Listen, it's about listening first and foremost. Make sure you get those things that they want to communicate out of them, repeat it back to them, make sure you got sign off on it. Now you're good to go. Now you're good to go and produce your design or marketing package, whatever it may be. So, you can check that out at edwardscom.net. Just scroll to the bottom. You'll see my latest post. It's always on there, or I'll put the link in the show notes. And it's called How I Present Logo Concepts to Clients.
Very nice. Very nice. Hey, I wanted to give a shout out to my daughter, actually, Hallie Garrison. And she actually sent a really nice comment about our show last week. And I just wanted to read it because I just thought it was really cool. And I just want to say that she is one of my biggest supporters of the show and and really just in life in general. She's in her late 20s and
graphic designer.
Yeah, she's just awesome. I mean, you'll see when I read this, she's just a great communicator as well. Yeah. But she says, I really love the positivity of your latest episode. And I loved what Lisa said about finding the perfect job. And I feel that way too. You're building up to something excellent and you'll get there when the time is perfect. I feel the experience you're having and openness to share it, helping others through hard times. And maybe that's the purpose of all that. But wow, this was one of my favorite episodes. Had a lot of fun listening to it. It made me happy. You guys had some good laughs too in the start from the start, and that was fun. I like how the podcast started so suddenly. Got a kick out of that. But it's really cool about the feedback you're getting from your listeners and friends as well. And lastly, I just want to say that I really like when we mention cameos on the show, or when we get mentioned on cameos on the show. So that's why I thought I'd mention this, because here's another cameo for Hallie.
Oh, just love you, Hallie. You have really good takes. You got a great head on your shoulders. You're just a beautiful person all the way around. Thank you for writing in and giving us support. Not your first time. Merle shares with me, and it means a lot. It really means a lot. Thank you.
And we want more of that kind of stuff too. And you know what? It doesn't have to be all positive too. Constructive criticism is really good. Be nice. But
give us your take.
Yeah, we want to hear it. And you can put that on our site at over50.com. And
over50startingover.com.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I screwed that up. But take
or a YouTube channel, Over 50 Starting Over.
There you go.
Yeah. Like our videos, please. Share, sign up for the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google, whatever, Spotify. Joe Rogan just got paid $300 million to be exclusively on Spotify, to leave Apple Podcasts behind. Dude, I think we would do it for a cool low price of $5 million. What do you think?
I was thinking more like 150 million, but okay, I'll think about it.
Okay. We'll get back. We'll get back to Spotify on that one. Okay, so where else are we going? We kind of blew through our O5O stuff. I didn't have a lot. You know what? I woke up to, as I always do, I get my coffee and I just listen to the morning news, local news. It just gives you like a 20-minute flyover of what's going on, which is about all I can handle that early in the morning. But it talked about how, restaurants here are going through the next phase of opening, meaning it was only patios. And we had some huge failures with that. What I mean is, man, just camera shots, video of the flats just being packed.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, hold on a second, because I thought the flats were kind of defunct. I mean,
well, you've been gone a while. It's all rebuilt. It's rebuilt, and it's really nice because the way they did it is smart, is brilliant, they're really nice establishments. If you remember how it was 20 years ago, these were like shacks all built with each other. Half of them were sliding into the river within 10 years of being built. It was horrible. Now, they're really nice chain restaurants and stuff. And, you got to understand that if you're going to sell a development to investors and a city, then you need solid chains that are committed to being in there because they have the financial backing. So you can be sure that they'll probably sign a 10-year lease, something like that. We'd all love to have our privately owned restaurants and bars in there, but this is how you get a foothold on a really genuine development. So they anchored with these kind of restaurants, and then they have like some giant high-rise condos in there, really expensive and stuff.
Yeah.
So think about how they feed off each other.
Yeah, no kidding.
The restaurants,
everyone's going out to eat. They don't want to make something for themselves. They live
got
right there.
And the restaurants have their built-in audience right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Starting to revitalize the West Bank, which there's all kinds of plans for, because they also, it's symbiotic.
Yeah.
So it's really nice what they've done there. But and there's a lot of patios there. It's very open.
Yeah. It's perfect for this.
Yeah. It's a fun place for me to ride my bike around and stuff.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So anyways, in the first week we had DeWine have to come out and say, hey man, a lot of you guys,
governor.
Yes, the governor, sorry, are getting ticketed because this is dangerous. It's absolutely dangerous. And, I have definitely always been erring on the side of freedoms and let's not overreact and things like that. But at the same time, man, that kind of behavior can send us back 6 weeks under lockdown. If we get, did you see also that we had, and I think this is more because of some of the poorer countries, as I read quickly, that we had the single largest spike yesterday?
No, I didn't. I did not hear that. No.
Yeah. Single largest
spike in deaths
since this has begun.
Huh.
Yeah. And it said, and I just, I just flew over it, but it alluded to because of the poorer countries who I'm sure are not handling.
So this is worldwide, not just in the country. Okay.
No, it's not. I'm sure it's not because of the U.S. I'm sure it seems to be because of some of these poorer countries.
Okay.
So anyways, I don't want to see a spike and send us backwards. So here's the other side of it though. So they're like, okay, so restaurants are now able to open indoors. And then they went through all these stipulations about you got to be wearing a mask unless you're eating. You have to be seated at your table, all this. There are most of these places putting up dividers. Dude, I'm not going out. I'm not I'm dying to go out and just do a happy hour, but I'm not going to do it if I feel like I'm doing it in the USSR. Or China in the worst of conditions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole mask thing is so constrictive and oppressive, and you're at a restaurant. I mean, you have to put things in your mouth. So
that's what they said. If you're not eating,
but still, it's so ridiculous. Okay, so you're not going to spread the virus when you open your mouth to eat, but you will when you're not eating. See, that doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't really get it. And I've even seen where they have restaurants. Some restaurateurs are thinking about putting like dummies, like mannequin dummies in different seats in the restaurant.
That's so your social distance.
Yeah.
Okay.
But these dummies are strangely familiar to me. I think they're a little bit precarious. I don't know. They're, what they're using. I don't even want to go there. I'm just saying. There's some pretty weird
What are you
stuff
getting
going
at?
on. I'm not even going to say it. I'm just saying, where are they getting these dummies from? That's all. I'm just going to leave it at that. They're very strange looking.
Okay.
Probably should be wearing masks themselves.
Well, I don't know what the correct thing is. The gyms out here have gotten together and filed lawsuits.
Yeah. Well, how can they close down their businesses altogether when there are ways to keep social distance inside of the gym? There's ways to sanitize too. And did you see this, Barry? There's a report out right now that's talking about the fact that the CDC is saying coronavirus doesn't spread so easily from surfaces after all.
Oh, really? That's good news.
Seen that? Well, yeah, it's good news. I totally agree. But let me just pull this up here because this is pretty interesting stuff that we're talking about. The coronavirus. Let's see. I'm just going to read this. this is from the Washington Examiner. The change comes after a German virologist leading the response to the country's worst hit areas said in April that he hadn't found evidence that the virus could live on surfaces. Dr. Streeck reported that a team investigated the home of an infected family and found that it did not have any live viruses on any surface. He told German TV there are no proven infections while shopping or at the hairdresser. But remember when the same CDC said they found the virus on a cruise ship surface after everyone had been gone for 17 days? I mean, that was just the other day. Now, this isn't just this doctor saying this. This is actually the CDC reporting that the CDC updates guidance to note the coronavirus does not spread easily from contaminated surfaces.
All right. Now, what I don't understand about that, I mean, I'm not going to just totally flip-flop to the other side. I take everything with a grain of salt, and because we just keep hearing conflicting stuff
from the experts.
Here's my question. So how did some scientists come up with a month or more 6 weeks ago, how did they come up with the idea that it would stay on wood surfaces for approximately 24 hours, but metal, it would stay on there for like 72 hours? Come on, they came up with that somewhere.
Yeah, they did. And now suddenly the CDC, this is a CDC saying this, they're saying that it doesn't do that. Now, interestingly, the World Health Organization has not updated anything about this. They're still saying that it sticks to surfaces. So this is the crazy part about this whole thing is I personally feel like, okay, I know that coronavirus exists. People are dying from it.
I don't want it.
I don't want it. No, I don't want it. But locking down restaurants and gyms and all businesses just doesn't seem to be making sense at all. And we've also seen where it seems to me like, just using common sense here, that when my kids were little, people are probably going to say, I'm glad this guy wasn't my dad, but like, hey, go eat some dirt, kid. I mean, go out there. You want their immune system to be absolutely working, and the only way that it can get stronger is by being exposed to different things that are out there. And it seems to me that being locked up and not seeing people now it's been months, I think that's making it more dangerous for people, so that when we do open up, we're naturally going to see these spikes that you're talking about right now. And that would be way more devastating than if we would have just kept people open and used common sense,
maybe
like not hugging and touching people. Maybe that's probably what the key was here the whole time. I don't know, Barry.
I don't know either. When I see those kids all packed on the patio and even going inside and stuff against the rules on the flats, I do kind of like go, geez, see, this is why there's such a temptation to do this nanny state enforcing, because we got a lot of people that won't exercise common sense. Listen, let me tell you, if I could go to the gym tomorrow, I would. And you know why? First of all, I know not many people would go. I would have no problem with social distancing. It's a very clean gym, and I am going to do my part on taking extra measures as well, as I was before they closed it down. I would, do disinfectant with my hands between every machine. But I also wouldn't go on cardio yet. For one, I'm not going to wear a mask doing a cardio machine.
It's ridiculous.
But the other is, so if you're not wearing masks, I'm not going to be up there where people are breathing heavy. So I'm not going to do cardio in a gym right away, the way I'm seeing it. So I'm talking about what I'm going to do for common sense. And if we all could exercise common sense, it'd be great. But I'm back to what we saw and we see on a regular basis again, is you just got a lot of really stupid people out there that are probably going to that could possibly create a big spike in this. So I don't know what the balance is.
Well, here's one thing to think about. There's a gym out in New Jersey called Attilis Gym, and I've seen the guy on the news a couple of times, and he's defied the governor and he's opened up his gym. And so when he opened it up, you would not believe the line outside of his door of people that wanted to go and work out. And my point is that when you make it so that you're not allowed to go to the gym, and then you say, oh, I'm going to open it up against the rules. There's something about telling people
taboo.
they can't do something, and then
Taboo.
and so does that, this is my premise is you tell people you're not allowed to do this, it kind of makes things more dangerous, because people are going to act just like down in the flats. People are going to act all crazy. We're seeing it out here too. I mean, the governor said you can go to the beach, but you can't sunbathe at the beach. But you can go in the water and you can exercise. Oh, you can't go on a bicycle either. So what do? You go down. Oh, and you got to wear a mask all the time, except for when you're in the water.
Wow.
Okay, so it's very.
How do you enforce all that?
You can't. And guess what? No one's wearing a mask. Everybody's laying out on the beach. I've seen, bicycles, everything. I mean, so this is the thing, is you keep people all cooped up in the house the whole time, and then you give them a little bit. Man, they just opened up the floodgates, because people are so sick of this, and it's so restrictive. I don't know, man. It's a mess. It's a mess. And then you got the other side of it, where all these people are shaming the people that aren't following the rules, in particular, but they're only doing it online. They're not actually out there shaming you. They just do that online.
It's virtual signaling, as always. Get up on your soapbox and say, I am so much more morally superior to you, you heathens.
Right. But I don't know, man. This is what's really happening that I see is it's creating a lot of parity here. And it's just, you get now your neighbor hates you. Whether you do or you don't, your neighbor hates you, or at least there's a perception that your neighbor hates you. And then, we talked about this before, the Nextdoor app. I've got one out here, I guess it's nationwide, but man, if you go on there, there's such, seething hatred towards one another for having different attitudes, to the point where it's like, you think, hey, I don't want to go outside because I might run into one of these people and they might they might hate me or whatever, or at least you have the perception everybody's looking at you and judging you. And
isn't
so
there something?
I kind of feel like, maybe the answer is don't go online and read this stuff, because you're gonna be a lot happier. Just use common sense.
And I think the vast majority of people, as far as social media, getting online and spewing their opinions, I don't think the vast majority of people do it that much. You could look at Facebook statistics, and they are the highest trafficked throughout all demographics by far, but it's still, as I recall, lately, something like 75% of people are on it. But of those 75% that are on there, it's probably 20% that are actually posting all the freaking time. Now, there's also a lot of data has been going around for some years now that depression, pardon me, depression is linked, a direct correlation to how much you're posting on social media. People that are posting all the time, I know from my own experience witnessing it, they're often single, and you might want to say a little bit sad or depressed or troubled or whatever. And so what I'm getting at is, I think we should all realize that the people that you're listening to, reading on social media, are the extremes. They're largely a bit unhappy, depressed. You're not getting reality from that for sure. When you get to Twitter, you have a whole nother thing with their 180 character limitation, where it's just sound bites. So you're just finding somebody that's throwing some shark bait out there, and then you're joining a school of sharks and coming out there and eating them alive. That's what it is. We got to start realizing that.
I agree with what you're saying. I mean, it's funny because I don't think any of those people that I saw at the beach that were laying out in the sand are people that are posting online. Right. I think they're out there living their lives, and they're not really worried about what's online. And
True.
So I kind of feel like I want to be more like that.
When you hear about people that commit suicide they're getting bullied online and stuff, you just think like it's never brought up there was an option to just shut off the social media.
No, it is never brought up, right? Like, why not? But here's the thing: is that social media, there's some kind of addictive quality to
Yeah.
that whole thing where
Yeah.
it's almost like a drug in itself, and
Yeah.
people are just drawn to it. And it's like, I'm not addicted to Facebook, but I've seen people that are totally addicted to
Yeah.
Facebook. They can't even walk down the street without reading it. They're actually reading it while they're walking down the street. There's another public hazard right there. People are wandering out into traffic and everything.
Yes.
Remember that there was some kind of an online, I don't know, some kind of a game. It was like a treasure hunt kind
I
of
know
game.
what you're talking about.
And people were just wandering
Mugu
right out into
Pichu
traffic.
or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is some scary stuff. Hey, but I wanted to bring up something else. I don't know if you heard about this, but these 600 doctors raise alarms about continued shutdowns. This mass casualty incident is what they're calling it. It's a letter that was sent to Donald Trump on Tuesday from these 600 doctors. They're calling this widespread. They're saying the widespread state orders keep businesses closed and kids home from school. They're calling it a mass casualty with exponentially growing health consequences. Now, in the article that I read from the letter, it said they're saying, and this is a quote: "The millions of casualties of continued shutdown will be hiding in plain sight, but they will be called alcoholism, homelessness, suicide, heart attack, stroke, or kidney failure. In youths, it'll be called financial instability, unemployment, despair, drug addiction, unplanned pregnancies, poverty, and abuse." And they're saying because the harm is diffuse, there are those who will hold that it does not exist. We, the underside, know otherwise. And it goes on to talk about people not being able to go to doctor's appointments, and these appointments could uncover the fact that they have some type of a critical disease that'll go undiagnosed, and those people will probably pass away as a result of this. And I mean, we're living this all the time right now. I mean, your doctor, I don't know if you've had to go to the doctor or not over the past couple of months, but it's very difficult to get a hold of your doctor.
I think most of us are doing phone stuff.
Yeah,
I am.
And think about that is, your doctor can't see you over the phone. What if you're calling for one thing and your doctor thinks it's one thing, but there's a big deal about the doctor actually seeing you and examining you by sight.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
There's some things here that we're missing. And again, going back to this whole, there's a lot of subject matter here as it pertains to this lockdown, but there are other consequences outside of coronavirus that absolutely can be way more dangerous, besides the fact that we're financially destitute as a country. I mean, we're seeing unemployment rates that are comparable to the Great Depression right now. And we know that at least suicide rates during the Great Depression were at an all-time high. So there's some serious stuff to think about here.
Yeah. And I just want to apologize for Merle. He did not remind me to put the side-by-side thing on
You're
Zoom.
You're kidding me. Okay.
Until just a minute ago. So I had to think about it. I had to take it upon myself to think to do that.
Well, look, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for this. And I got to tell you, I can, it looks like side by side for me. So
it is now. Yeah.
Well, it is all the time for me. So this is all you, man.
I got a lot on my shoulders.
Save your comments and give them to Barry. Okay.
I got a lot on my shoulders here. Okay, what's the moral to this story? Well, there is no moral to that story. It's just warning us that we're going to have a lot of different offshoot problems come out of this. We're not going to, I don't know, put a name on it. I mean, because it's going to be diffuse. There's going to be so many different things.
I got something. Let's talk about, let's be positive. Are there any good things that have come out of this?
I think a lot of things, man. I got to tell you, like Lisa and I, we talk about it all the time. We're both working here, the same house. She's, I normally work out of the house. Of course, she has to go in, and I have come to realize we're having a ball. Really? I mean, we're very productive. We just go and carefully check in on the other person, make sure they're not wrapped up in something too deep. Try to be polite.
Right.
But it's man, it's been a ball. We've had a great time. I think a lot of people, I think I've heard of studies, polls that are saying that people have been happier now during all this lockdown stuff, having to make adjustments, you know, I think that we are probably so busy and rushed from one place to the next in our normal lives that
Right.
now we are forced to make adjustments and probably take care of a lot more on the home base that we
Hmm.
let go before. I don't know. How about you? I mean, I know
Well,
things have been crazy for you
oh,
personally in
well.
so many ways. So,
But life is crazy. I mean, even if everything were opened up, it'd still be crazy. You know, I can think of an example. My brother Scott, um, he has this hellacious drive to work every morning through
oh
terrible
yeah.
traffic. It takes him like an hour and a half to go, like, I don't know, 15 miles
Mhm.
in the morning and then at night. So he's like on the road, just going back and forth to the office 3 hours. But now he can work from home. So he's got that all that time back. He doesn't have to go into that traffic, and he's still just as productive, even more productive
Yeah. Same
than
with
he was
Lisa.
before. So
Mhm.
you know, that's right. That is a big deal. And think about the stress factor that saves him.
Mhm.
That's a big deal. I'm like you. I've worked out of my house for I
Mhm.
don't know, I don't know, like 20 years now. So I but yeah, I mean, that's one thing. Another thing is that I am not a movie fan. I mean, I like movies, but I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of ADD, you know, like the
You have a hard
movies,
time sitting there?
they last too long. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to get up and do something now. God, I'm watching this for 45 minutes. I got to go do something. But this
Okay.
has actually forced me to watch a bunch of movies. And I have found some really great movies
All
in the
right.
meantime.
What really pops at you?
Okay, so this movie now, some of them are older movies. I made a list of some movies that I've watched,
Okay.
but one of them is, have you seen The Usual Suspects?
Oh God, yeah, what a great movie.
Oh
But
my
but now
gosh.
you have to, if you go back, everything with Kevin Spacey in it. Now you got that in the back of your head.
Yeah, but wait a second. Okay, I I know you do. But he's a great actor. I've
Yes.
seen a couple of great movies with Kevin Spacey in it. Seven Deadly Sins I saw the other day with
I
him in it.
probably saw it.
He's a great bad guy. It was Brad Pitt,
Yes.
Morgan Freeman,
Oh yeah,
uh, and
yeah.
and he's like the psycho killer
Hmm.
guy. And man, he is a great freak in these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, he's chilling almost. But this Usual Suspects was a great one. I gotta
Incredible.
say, I the writing on this was amazing. I
Yeah.
read a book by Stephen Baldwin called The Unusual Suspect, and he takes this whole thing. I read it. It was about his conversion to Christianity. He's so different than his brother, but he uses this movie as a sort of a way to explain how he became a Christian. And I read this, but it didn't really make sense until I watched this movie the other day, which I thought was just really well done. It had me going. It's one of those. It's film. It's called Neo-Noir mystery
Hmm.
film, and man, that thing had me going all the way to the end. I can't believe I haven't watched it. It's a 1995 movie, but that was great. I saw another one. This one just totally different genre. It's a comedy called Night School with Kevin Hart in it. Have you seen that movie?
No.
This
No, I
one,
didn't think Kevin. Wait a minute. Who's Kevin? Oh, Kevin
he,
Hart's the comedian.
yeah, he's the guy.
Okay. Little
Another
guy.
guy, yeah, that
Yeah.
they wouldn't let him do the Academy Award. See, every time you bring
Right.
up one of these guys, you got to think about all the
The
negatives.
baggage. Yeah, because when you said Kevin Hart, I was thinking of Kevin James from The King
Oh
of
yeah,
Queens.
I really
And I
like him.
thought he's never been in a good movie. But no,
Well,
Kevin Hart, yeah. Yeah, I could
yeah,
see
and
that.
so this one was one of it's the story follows a group of adults who set out to earn their GEDs, and man, this was just one of those. There's a couple of over the top scenes in this movie where,
Mhm.
Mom, don't watch this movie. But there's a couple over top, but basically, it's one of those movies where it's funny and it makes you feel good.
I think I remember the previews back when it was coming out. And wasn't it something like He was the really smart one trying to school the other people.
No, well, and yeah, he's not really smart. That's the whole
Okay.
thing. He's got like he's got some serious problems, but he does get and maybe you did see this because he gets hooked up with some people that don't seem to be as smart as him, and he ends up kind of being their leader. It's a ridiculous movie. It's one of those.
What's
movies.
It called again?
It's called Night School.
Oh, okay. You said it was like 1995?
No, not 2018.
Oh.
95 was was Unusual or The Usual Suspects.
Oh, okay. I'm all confused. All right, then that movie could not have done that well because that was 2018 and it doesn't really like raise any memories.
I don't know how well it did. Apparently, he helped write the script, so he's one of the script writers on this. But
I like him. I
think he's funny. I think he's pretty funny.
I do too.
The movie was great. I saw him in another movie, and I can't think of the name with it. It was from that guy. Oh man, I have a hard time remembering these.
What's it about?
The guy's a quadriplegic. And Kevin Hart, it comes and he ends up being his assistant.
What you're talking. Yeah, it's almost a trite premise. I didn't see it, but I remember when I saw that because I like him. And I thought I might see it because he's in it, but I know how it goes. So he comes in, and this quadriplegic guy's really mean, but Kevin James Hart wins him over, and they end up best friends in the end. And then the quadriplegic probably dies. Is my guess. And you cry.
Well, no.
Come on, I'm right?
No. You got like some of it right, but
it's like a chick flick. I could tell you the plot of any chick flick as soon as it begins.
Well, you got a lot of it wrong, but but you did get a couple of things right, so that way you didn't ruin it. You didn't ruin the ending for the audience, which is good, I guess.
Oh, right.
But maybe I just did.
It's all about me, Merle.
But I just want to say, this was not like a comedy film. It was more of a dramatic role that he's playing, and he was outstanding in that movie. I had no idea how versatile of an actor that he is.
And what's the name of this one again?
I can't remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, we should look that up. But anyway, I went off on a tangent right there. I watched another movie called He Won't Get Far on Foot. Or I'm sorry, Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot.
I've vaguely heard of that.
Now I saw this on Amazon Prime. And it's a true story about a guy by the name of John Callahan who the movie follows a recently paralyzed alcoholic who finds a passion for drawing off-color newspaper cartoons. And it's got Joaqhin Phoenix, Jonah Hill, Jack Black is in this movie.
I think I saw it.
And Joaqhin Phoenix,
he's amazing.
I've never really been a fan of his, by the way. But man, he plays this paralytic so well. It is, man, it's one of those movies. It's like an overcoming kind of a movie. Yeah. Now, at first I was like, oh, this is depressing. But then it was like, it became a very uplifting movie about,
I think it's based on a true story.
Like I said, it is a true story about this guy, John Callahan. He's a real guy. That actually he passed away recently, but so it kind of takes place in the late 70s and everything. It's an amazing movie. And Jonah Hill, he's really good in the movie as well. This is a 2018 movie.
I must have saw it when it first came out then, because I feel like I saw it 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's about right. About right.
Hey, did you see Lisa and I finally watched Bohemian Rhapsody?
Oh, yeah.
About Freddie Mercury. And it was great. I didn't want to see it for the long. She wanted to see it the whole time. I didn't want to see it.
Wait, why didn't you want to see it?
Because I read, and I don't know how this came about. I read in the critical reviews right away that they bastardized the history of Queen, which they said something like, okay, because they wanted to lead everything up to their Live Aid performance, which was astounding. It was historic.
Right.
All right. Like they blew everybody away on the stage. And that was real. But what I read was from this critic, like they liked the movie, but they took such artistic creative liberties that they said that they took this, like the song "We Are the Champions," and made it sound like that they debuted it at Live Aid or something. And I was like, holy crap, I cannot take that kind of manipulation, because that's so wrong. I remember "We Are the Champions" came out when I was in 6th grade, because I remember that we went to summer camp and we're all doing the boom, 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 boom.
Oh man, I'm getting goosebumps right now. I love that. That was
but
awesome.
That didn't happen. It was totally wrong. That
it
movie
was wrong.
Was
That's
fantastic.
Not how it was. That movie was fantastic.
It was
what
fantastic.
A great movie. The guy that played Freddie Mercury.
His name's like Rima, I think Rima Mayek, something Merrick, something like that. I mean, a lot of people know who he is now, and
right.
He was fantastic. But you know what? We compared that to, because right before or after that, we watched the movie Rocket Man.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay. It was a biographical thing on Elton John. It was also good, but Bohemian Rhapsody blew it away. The Elton John one was interesting in the fact that they told the story with a lot of metaphor. So it would, all of a sudden, you're kind of into the plot, what's going on, and all of a sudden it kind of busts out into a bit of a musical. Then plays out the meaning of this period of his life.
I see.
So it kind of covers a lot of ground by doing a musical. I respect the creativity of that.
Yeah.
But it would take me out of I would be into this moment, and then all of a sudden, hey, wait, are they doing this again?
Right.
So it would take me out of it a bit. However, there was, towards the end, it worked so well because I didn't know this. Elton John had severe drug and alcohol problems.
I didn't
think,
that
well, every rock star did in the 70s for sure. I don't remember hearing that about.
Not at all.
Oh, no. Very bad. He had, and it was, again, as is often the case, it stemmed from largely his family background, being younger, having a very domineering, judgmental father and a mother that was, so-so. And you carry that with you, and then you're trying to prove yourself, to them through your successes. But you know what? That also parallels big time with the Freddie Mercury story.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was the whole thing, right?
We'll get back to that in a second, because that was powerful. But so in the Elton John one, Rocket Man, this metaphorical way lent itself huge towards the end when he gets himself cleaned up, and they show how he went through therapy and healed with all these different people in his life through this little musical metaphor. But
Rocket Man.
Yeah, and it covered.
So Rocket Man is a metaphor to his healing, his drug rehab.
Well, Rocket Man, the song Rocket Man.
Of course, it's going through my head right now.
Oh, okay. No, Rocket Man. Forget Rocket Man. It's just the name of the movie.
All right.
But in the movie, towards the end, they show how he gets sober, and of course, when you go through a real good treatment program, it's not about detoxing so much as it is about healing your demons that you're trying to make numb. And so it really, in all of like maybe 7 minutes, shows how he healed with his mother and father and other people in his life, but how he didn't have to do it face to face with them, that he's just talking to this kind of mirage of them in his head, or it's showing you what therapy does. And he's like, thank you for your judgment, as they're standing there yelling at him and putting him down. Thank you. I know that you are concerned about me, but the way that you're projecting it isn't good for me anymore. I forgive you. Dude, that was huge. It was a very big message. So that was the best part of the movie, I thought. Back to Bohemian Rhapsody, when Freddie Mercury has very largely the same issues, and his ego gets out of control, and then
his life.
Dude, remember when he, towards the end, I get choked up thinking about it, but how he healed with his father.
Yeah, that was the best part of the movie right
Oh
there.
God, yeah, it was.
I got choked up watching that part too.
Oh, huge. And that leads right into the Live Aid performance, which they worked. I saw a documentary on that. They worked so hard at getting every single moment of that perfect, the way it was
It was
in live.
spot on. You can watch those things side by side, and it would
Yeah.
be almost like you wouldn't be able to tell which one was which.
Yeah, the star of that, Raimi, whatever his name is, he worked with a behaviorist. I forget, but somebody that helped him train his mannerisms to be just exactly dead on with Freddie Mercury.
Ah, he was great, and also in that Live Aid where he blows the kiss to his mom.
Oh yeah, he told her, "I'm gonna do that," and they showed
Yeah.
a moment he does that.
Oh my God, that was so cool! Again,
was a
another one
great
of
movie.
those moments that you get kind of choked up on. But
There was a lot of
the
that.
music itself is so good.
They were so talented. I said that to Lisa. I think that was one drawback, but it would have had to have been such a long movie. Is I wish we would have got more character build up. The band, all of them in the band were huge intellectuals, and I thought they were all, as I recall, classically trained musicians, and this wasn't touched upon. They kind of went boom very quickly right into stardom.
Right.
And I wanted more of the backstory of more of the band, but it was a Freddie Mercury, biopic. So.
Right. Now let me. I have two questions for you. Well, actually, a comment and a question. The question first is. You mentioned "We Are the Champions." That was a great song.
Yes,
and also that whole, the beat of that whole thing. We both played sports in high school, so that song was a part of that whole thing, and we all could relate to it.
Another one, "Bites the Dust." That was a great
Oh my God,
song.
right? Anyway, so those are good. But Elton John, anything stick out as far as songs that you really loved from Elton John?
Well, I wasn't the hugest Elton John fan. To me, it was so poppy that, you just always heard him everywhere on the radio. But as I watched the movie, it was like, oh my God, I forgot about that and that and that. So what I did read about a long time ago with Elton John that came as a surprise to me 10, 15 years ago when I saw this documentary or whatever, short documentary, is that he always had a writing partner.
Nigel.
Pardon?
His name was Nigel something or other.
Okay, correct. So that was a big part of the movie. And now this guy was straight, but they just had this synergy. So Nigel wrote all the lyrics, and he had such a brotherly relationship with Elton. And they went through so much when Elton went off the rails with his fame. And, it's an age-old story of when somebody who doesn't have their needs met and they get some fame, man, that's power. And it goes right to your head and you mess everything up.
It's the absolute power corrupts absolutely thing.
And then you get surrounded by a bunch of yes men.
Right.
That just want to take everything. And he goes through all of that. But, and they have a hiatus in their relationship, their partnership, and how they come back. And this guy just always had him in his heart, never held anything against him, just knew he had to come back on his own. And it happened. Dude, that was powerful. It was powerful.
I heard that when those two were writing songs, that if they didn't have it down within 20 minutes, they'd throw it away.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they would, these guys are like musical geniuses, and the synergy between the two of them was like exponential.
Absolutely.
And they came up with some great songs together. I loved Elton John pre 1980 because it was more like rock and roll. But then once you get into the MTV era, it all becomes very poppy music.
I'm still standing.
Yeah, no thanks.
I hate that song, but it was about him coming out of rehab after his overdose and everything.
Oh wow! Well,
the lyrics behind it were powerful. And Nigel wrote that stuff.
That makes it a lot more meaningful.
The lyrics behind almost all his songs were very personal, but Nigel wrote them. But they were applicable. Man, they were tight, man.
Some very early Elton John. I'm trying to think of the name of this one song. It was like Hands Over Troubled Water or something like that. It was just such great, like soulful rock and roll. Like
the guy could belt it out.
Oh, he really could. Now, here's my comment is, we're bringing up Elton John and Freddie Mercury. How did we not know that these guys were gay? I didn't.
I mean, Freddie Mercury with his little mustache prancing around, and his band is named Queen.
It was Queen, right? I mean, if somebody would have told me that I might have wanted. What? No, they're not.
Right. It was a different time.
Yeah,
that was such taboo. It was
funny though to think back on that, like Elton John with those flamboyant outfits and the glasses and everything, and it's like people didn't know Liberace was gay.
Yeah, no, I think we all knew that.
Pretty sure.
When I was a little kid, everybody knew that. He was kind of the punchline to jokes of, it's a little Liberace for me. I don't know. But, what I will say is in both of those movies, but not just the movies, in real life, Elton John and Freddie Mercury, though he died much too young, way too young, they found, you could say, they're soulmates. And that's a beautiful thing.
You know what? It is. But let me just go back to the Liberace thing. Did you ever see that document? It was a movie it was a great movie about his life. Well, anyway, women went crazy for Liberace. Sure. I mean, they didn't know he was gay.
Really?
Well, at least in that movie.
All right. I remember being a kid. He was a big deal when we were kids.
He was.
See him on TV.
I mean, to me, it was a little like, I feel funny.
Did you think Richard Simmons wasn't gay?
Yeah, I didn't really think about it. You know what I mean? I wasn't really thinking about that we didn't think about it back then. I'm just trying to say. I saw him, I was like, hey, that's not for me, man. But
hey, you know what? As you talk about that, and as I guess, you say we didn't think about that. In other ways, how backwards we went, because during that time, when we were kids in the 70s, I walked to school. We all walked to school, to the bus stop and all that, or to school itself when I went to elementary school. And all we did was talk about the shows that you watched last night with your family.
Right, exactly.
Good Times, the Jeffersons, All in the Family. And all of them always dealt with race issues. When they got serious, they were mostly funny, but then they would deal with these race issues. And I don't know about you, but we all were talking about that stuff. It'd be like, hey, man, did you see what JJ said this dynamite? And I'm just saying, here's my point, is it seemed like the most, to me as a kid, an impressionable young kid, where I grew up, it seemed like the most anti-racial time ever. Like we all, and then when they hit it heavy with a racial issue, we were all man. And well, I mean, my mother made me watch Roots. God, that was horrifying. Put a kid through that. So we were all sensitive to that stuff, and didn't say the N-word or anything except for one person in our neighborhood, and we were all like, ugh.
What's wrong with that guy?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And how far backwards are we today?
I'm telling you.
What is that, 40 years ago?
Yeah.
We've gone back 60 years in time.
Yeah.
You would think.
It is pretty crazy. I remember watching those shows because they always had like the fake studio audience. I don't know if it was fake or not.
Oh,
whenever they would bring up like a racial issue, then the whole audience would go, ooh.
But as you mentioned that,
so you would
know they usually would say this was performed before a live studio audience.
Oh, that's right.
They usually did.
We know Happy Days was.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, because they would say that every episode.
Okay, I thought most of them did, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I mean, those were great shows, quality shows, All in the Family. And I think you and I talked about it before. You know how Seinfeld took a while to get their feet underneath of them?
Yes.
If you see the really early ones,
like that first season,
they weren't right.
They weren't connecting.
All in the Family. Think about Carol O'Connor, Archie, and Gene Stapleton dude, they had those characters nailed from the start.
From the beginning. Yep, they really did.
They were cartoon characters.
Wait, I wanted to go back to Roots. Your mom made you watch Roots?
Oh, yeah. I think everybody's mom did for the most part.
It was
like a horror movie.
I wanted to watch it because, you know, you heard about it in school and everything, you know, slavery and everything. And of course, you know, being black, you know, this is part of our history. And then when I remember watching it on TV, and I was stunned at just the brutality. And I mean, I couldn't. I heard the stories, but this story told it in such a way that I was shocked. I was really shocked. I mean, and I've seen it, you know, since then, and it's just not as shocking anymore. I don't know.
Well, nothing is. Do you remember the movie Brian's Song? With Gail Sayers dies of cancer, and Brian Piccolo and their relationship. Dude, if you ever saw that today, you might end up laughing through it. But back then, it was like everybody was crying and, you know, oh my God, it's the most powerful movie I ever saw. It doesn't stand the test of time at all. No more than the $6 million man does. You know, not at all. But I wanted to say, think about our generation that most of us watched Roots in a very formative time in our life. And then we watch these other shows that we grow up with, and we're just, you know, I think sensitive to all of that. We grow up and we elect a 2-time black president. Okay. Now all of a sudden, we're supposed to be incredibly racist. We're told this on a daily basis. The same people that just elected a 2-time black president.
Well, even, I mean, come on, he himself was saying that, and so was his wife. So, I mean, it was like, I just felt like kind of ripped off by that whole thing, because it felt like he really had a platform where he could have said, you know, check this out. America has come such a long way, and aren't we proud here that, look at me, I'm the president, I'm the world leader right here, and we should be very happy with ourselves at how much we've grown, and that didn't happen. And it seems like we rocketed past even the progress we had made when we were kids.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He, just to capitalize on what you said, that should have been his mantra. You know, I thought it was going to be. I voted for him the first time, and I almost immediately regretted it. And I'm sorry to throw that out there and piss people off, but it's for those reasons, is that now look how far backwards we are in these regards. And I think it's a damn shame. I really do. And not only that, now it's hip, back to our social media conversation. Now, if you want to stay on social media and partake, it's in your best interest to talk about how white people, say white people a lot, and blame white people for everything, and that we are the oppressors, okay, and everybody else is a victim and not getting a fair shake. You know, because I grew up still thinking the exact same way. Well, if other people aren't getting a fair shake, we need to change some laws, because I think everybody needs equal opportunity. I do. But no, that's not enough. That's not enough. Now we got to talk about evil white people and the patriarchal society that we're in.
Well, I don't know. I don't really understand it, to be honest with you. I mean, this, what is it called? Some kind of privilege?
The white privilege, of course. You know, geez, I hate to go here, but you know what? We're winding up. We're coming up on an hour mark. So it's a good time to just throw out a little bit of this. This is the Neo-Marxism approach that gets carried in with the vehicle. The vehicle is postmodernism that we talked about last week. Postmodernism is just anarchy. Everything that's going on today is terrible, and we need to just start over. Modernism believes that even science is not applicable, that you can present all kinds of scientific studies and stuff. That's BS, they say. It is, you know, it's just chaos. They just believe in chaos. And the neo-Marxist movement, and Marxism has always had an attraction because it started out early with the bourgeois, the owners of everything, the upper class, versus the proletariat, the working class. And, back when there was a king and the bourgeois and the proletariats, yeah, that's serious shit, man. It was nothing but oppression. And as we got to the industrial age, it just got a lot more complicated. Now you got shareholders in a company. Well, are they part of that upper class? Or then you got upper management, middle management. Then you got, managers, supervisors. Who's the working class now and who's part of the upper class? It's very confusing. So it works really good with the postmodern movement. And then we could just say, well, you know what? The oppressors are white people, white males in particular. And this is where it all gets started. So all the rest, everybody else is the victim. And all the rest, they're the oppressed. So how do you, okay, and if all the laws are about equality, then it must be about social standings. How do you give all these people, get all these people out of oppression? Oh, well, it's going to be through bigger government and government regulations. And now this is where the whole, and most people, I believe, that talk about white oppression and white privilege, they're just virtual signaling. It makes them feel good. They're on Facebook. And
I think so too.
Yeah, they don't understand where it's really going.
Right.
And that's where it's going. If you want to start trying to solve these so-called problems of being oppressed, and by the way, when we were in, when we were in the Obama era, that we had like more people on welfare, I think, than ever, or certainly more Black people for sure. And now before COVID happened, we had something like more Black people employed than ever before.
Yeah, it was a national.
I think we're heading in the right direction.
We were.
That's correct. We were. And we still are the least racist country in the world. And yes. Now we've also proven that, and geez, I want to get you on this, but we have had proof in the pudding that our capitalistic society is the best way that we've had to date ever in history of pulling poverty out of poverty, poor people out of poverty. And this has been happening worldwide now as we become a global economy.
Right.
So I don't know, what are your thoughts on this stuff? This is, to me, it's bone chilling. It's more angry. It makes me angry.
It makes me angry too. I personally, my view on this is that it's not a Black thing or a white thing or a yellow thing or a race thing. It's not a gender thing. It's not a gay or a straight thing. It's a mankind thing.
Yeah.
And we live in a world where there are people that when they have an opportunity to be greedy or selfish and oppress other people because they have absolute power, they're going to take that and use it against people. And that's how it is. If the majority of Americans were Black and the minority was white, and that was the history of America, then you would see everything happening in reverse. It's just how it is. It's not that, one race is good and the other race is bad. And so this whole thing about white privilege, when I hear the term, it burns me up, because there's white people out there that are poor. And in fact, there's more poor white people than poor Black people in America by numbers. And there's more white people that are shot and killed by police than Black people. And it just because, and when you take a look at the proportions, it starts to tell a story that what we're seeing portrayed on television is not exactly what reality is. And then when you start to really think about it, so why are they portraying it that way? What are they trying to get across here? And it's interesting, Barry. I got this. Let me just grab this. I just got this. Upside down, from Kent State.
Yeah, and, our alma mater.
And so Kent State, it actually has this article in here, and it's talking about how. Oh shoot. Oh darn it! Oh, it's right here. I almost lost my train of thought here. but it has this whole section on fake news and how to identify what fake news is. And
I like it.
It was really interesting. I was real skeptical before I read it.
I'm already skeptical. It's coming from a college.
But actually, it was really good. Let's see if I can find it here. Of course, I can't find it because I'm trying to. Oh, here it is. Fake news, and it goes through 5 different steps of how to identify fake news.
Can you go through?
Actually, good.
Please.
Yeah. So the first one was think about who created the message, and then 2, what creative techniques are used to attract my attention? How might people different from me understand this message? It's 3. Number 4 is what values, lifestyles, and point of views are represented in or omitted from this message? And number 5, why is this message being sent? And basically, by using those questions, and I just gone over just the surface of this, it causes you to start to think about the message critically and why this message is being packaged this way and who benefits from sending this message out, and should I actually listen to these people that are sending this whole thing out? Look, it's just like going to a carnival, and then you're at a carnival game, and then there's some joker up there telling you how easy it's going to be to win this game.
Joker, I don't know. I've never known a carny before, so
no. This is all just this is hypothetical, okay? but I'm just saying, like maybe you should think about who's actually giving that message and why they're giving that message, and then start looking at the fact how many people actually win this game or have won, and do I actually know anybody that's won one of these games before? And that's, I just think, when you start to hear, getting back to what we were talking about, the whole white privilege. Why are they perpetrating that message? What benefit do they have in perpetrating that message? And especially when it comes
to bring down our establishment. That's what it is. And
rebuild. Why would they want to do that, though? That's
they think it's horrible. It's largely fueled by the hatred of Donald Trump.
Think about this. I just want you to think about this. Saturday Night Live is a good example. I used to love Saturday Night Live. Now I can't even stomach it because it's so political. But here's the fact: is that Lorne Michaels he's run that show for such a long time, but he's changed the show. And why? Because it's profitable for him to change the show that way. That's why. And so you start to look at, like, why is that carny actually trying to get me to spend money on this? It's profitable for him to do that. This is how capitalism can work in reverse. It could actually eat itself. It could destroy itself through selfishness. And I'm just saying that there's 2 kinds of capitalism. There's the selfish kind, and then there's the compassionate kind. And we should be looking at this very seriously, because we should be patroning those organizations and those types of systems that are really out there to be compassionate towards people and that are helping people.
Agreed.
And we should really be thinking about this and using our critical thinking skills. Use your brain, think for yourself, and think about what the message is and who's sending the message and why they're sending it. Is it really a message of hate disguised as a message of compassion?
Wow, because that was a good one right there.
When there are people out there that are saying or it's all about equality, is if we're going to elevate one race but denigrate another one.
Yes.
Really think about that. Is that right?
That's hate and oppression. They're talking about oppression. You don't get your even. 2 wrongs don't make a right. You don't oppress another race and then create some kind of equality. This is hate. Now, you know what I'm all for is, let's face it, there's a lot of aspects in the Black community that can use help, cultural. And if you want to create some programs that can try to help in a decent way, I'm not talking about just throwing money at somebody. I'm talking about educational and stuff like that to help. Because when we talk about minorities, let's face it, we're always talking about Black people. We truly are, or Hispanics.
Hispanics now too, yeah.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Asians because they're eclipsing everybody, okay? And white people by far, because they have such a strong family nucleus. That's what it's always comes back to. It always had direct correlation to that. That's another thing. is we should incentivize minorities, if you want to say that, because as you said, there's more white people on welfare and in poverty than black people. So let's keep that in mind. We should incentivize perhaps to not have kids if you're in poverty. Maybe then, you get extra. That'd never work. That would become so racist. What I'm trying to say is, but don't incentivize to have kids single. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think is more of the thing. I don't think poverty is the reason for not having kids. I think, once look, doing it the right way and having a mother and a father, and because what really happens here is that the mom and the dad complement each other, and then they have this common cause to do something to make things better for their kids. There's a perpetuating thing that wants your kids to be better off than you had it.
Basic
and
instincts.
I can just look at my own life and say, man, my kids, as soon as I had kids, my first, Brandon, man, my whole life changed. It wasn't about me anymore.
Sure.
It's never, ever since then, it hasn't been about me. I mean, my whole life changed. I had something to live for, something to do. And it's just sort of things started to happen where, I became more about how can I help? What can I do? I'd stay up at night and think about what can I do to make this happen. I sort of started to end up at the right place at the right time. And I think, and I think it's important that you have somebody that, like your wife, that's supporting you in all of that. And she's doing her thing as well and she's thinking the same way, but we complement each other in that way. And when you take a look at the Black community, here's the sorry statistic is that about 75% of Black youth today in America are born into a family without a father.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that it's not about the police are killing everybody or, they don't have a chance. It's that the family has been destroyed. And when you take a look at what was happening before the whole civil rights movement happened, and these incentives started to happen to not have a mother and a father in the house, the Black family was actually starting to really climb that ladder and starting to do a lot better for themselves. But then, and you had much more of this family nucleus. It's not
back to what you
today.
said just a few minutes ago. So think how different things could be today if Obama would have put out he had the opportunity to put out those encouraging words on a regular basis and talk about the increases and I don't know, acceptance in what do I want to say, wealth and all the things. Let's look at the most powerful people in the world. We just had a 2-time Black president. Arguably, the three strongest women in the world would be like Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, and Beyonce. They're all Black. I mean, I think that we're pretty much on the right path as far as raising awareness, getting people inspired that they can, have the American dream. And Obama had I hate to sit here and bash Obama. I think he's a really decent person with really good intentions. But, he saw things from that victim mentality, and it's very seductive, I think.
Well, I personally think that we should be in a world that's colorblind. I mean,
agreed.
I think that, I think he had an opportunity to do that. He let it slip, but the message should have been, okay, now we're free to be colorblind. Yeah. Let's help our fellow man. If we see somebody in need, it doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what gender they are. Everybody should have an equal chance. Does that mean everyone's going to have equal results? No, that's ridiculous. Because it is whatever you put into it. But as long as the game is fair for everybody, that they have an equal chance, it's all about what you put into it. If you decide to get up and just like working out, if you decide to go to the gym every day, you're going to have bigger muscles than the other guy. It's not fair that the other guy that didn't go to the gym every day should have the Arnold Schwarzenegger muscles. You get what
government should be giving him steroids in the mail.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. And, but yeah, I think that
Equal
I would like to
opportunity.
look. I went to an all-white school. I was the only black kid there, besides my brother and a couple other people. I was in a class of like 300 in my class, and I think there was maybe 2 other black people in my class.
Sounds like my high school.
I didn't want to be seen as the black guy. I wanted to be seen as Merle. I'm Merle, and I didn't want to be treated any differently or anything like that. I just wanted to be with everybody else, and I didn't want any special treatment or anything because I'm black. In fact, that kind of thinking I would have rejected even back then. It makes me sick to think about that. I just wanted to have an equal chance as everybody else. That's all.
I agree with you, Merle. I think that you had advantages by being in suburban, upper middle class America.
Well, that's because my dad fought for that.
No, very true. And we should talk about more of that. Because we were at about an hour and 10 or something like that. You got it. But I want to lay the groundwork for to pick up on. And because I think our biggest struggles are in the more, we have too much segregation in this country still.
I agree.
And so if we can integrate and perhaps one day we'll be able to encourage that will happen. It'll help. And I just want to say too, a subject that I want to talk about real soon is struggle. It is an inherent part of life. The fact that we all eat each other from the moment you're conceived, anything is conceived, animal, whatever, you're looking for food, which is eating something else that's alive. It's a violent way. It's a
dog eat dog world.
There you go. It is from the very conception of this time in life. And so it's about suffering, and it's about overcoming suffering. And this movement wants to remove suffering,
and resistance.
Yes.
Right? Just like we said, the working out thing is, it's all building muscles means you've got to encounter resistance. Right.
Yeah. And then you get rewarded for it.
Exactly.
And delayed gratification. You get reward for investing and So let's pick up on that next week at some point, and let's try not to dwell on it too much because it gets heavy, man, heavy. All right, so you give the party words.
I just want to say, here we are at the precipice of summertime. It's been an unreal year, 2020 so far, but here's to the best is yet to come. And I'm just seeing that I really believe that in 2020, the best is yet to come. So let's just get ready for some good times here from here on out.
Perfect party words. Thank you. See you all next week. Thanks for being there. Share with us. Give us a like and all that. Merle, talk to you next week.
You too, Barry.